It is that time. It's time for me to talk about my Texas Longhorns. Hook 'em. The spring game is coming up, and I don't know why I'm hitting on my legs, but apparently I'm excited. But I wanted to make a video and talk about the things that I'm interested in seeing from the Texas spring game. I obviously know that Texas, I've said this many times, I have trust issues when it comes to football programs. I know what I'm expecting to see of Texas this year. I have expectations on what I'm expecting to see at the spring game. However, I don't know what I'm going to see, but I wanted to make a video and talk a little bit about what my expectations are. The first thing I want to say and just throw out there, because I believe this might be the most talked about number 2 quarterback in college football, I could be wrong, is Quinn Ewers versus Arch Manning. I don't really want to say verse because they're on the same team. The job is Ewers' job right now. And I'm very interested to see how Arch performs during the spring game. What I know about Texas spring games, usually they allow them to have more of a game style format, and we will actually get to see different things and different things evolve. So I'm very fascinated to see how Arch Manning looks in this spring game this year as compared to how he looked last year. I'm also super important to see what type of leadership and what kind of things I can pick up on from Ewers. But I'm just super excited to see 2 quarterbacks that have amazing potential, that can really take this football program and continue its, relevance over the next few years. Like, I'm super excited about that. So I can't wait to see both of them. I will also say that I'm very interested in seeing how we're going to try to equate for losing Sweat and Murphy. I don't think it's any secret that Texas needs more defensive tackles. I would say 2 would be amazing. 2 elite defensive tackles coming to the University of Texas. I don't think any Texas fan would be upset with that. But I'm just looking to see what we have out there. I want to see the difference in our upperclassmen versus our lowerclassmen. I just want to really see what we have going on. I want to see what it looks like, because I know sometimes you can watch a video on YouTube or you can watch a video on wherever. You can listen to different people talk every day about a team, but nothing really matters to me and nothing really clicks for me until I can actually see them myself all together in team activities and doing team things. So I'm super excited to see what they have in that regard and to see how the younger guys look. Feeling like we still need a couple of defensive tackles, but that's just my personal opinion. I actually think a lot of Texas fans will agree with that. The other thing I'm really interested in seeing, and I know it's going to be kind of hard to tell because it's like team on team, I want to see our cornerbacks. Last year, Texas defense was great at stopping the run. We were not as great when it came to defending the pass. So I'm super interested to see how these 2 quarterbacks also do against the secondary. I know we have a lot of people returning. I know we have a lot of older guys that we thought we might lose that are actually coming back. So I'm very interested to see what that secondary looks like in the spring game. I totally understand it's a spring game. However, I just want to see what they look like. I want to see, do they make the quarterbacks look good? Do they make the quarterbacks look average? Because I think sometimes when you're watching spring games, you can kind of tell. I've always say this, and I'll probably continue to say this as we move forward, is sometimes different people are going to win different reps. Sometimes the offense is going to win the rep. Sometimes the defense is going to win the rep. I think sometimes the answer to questions is not always in what happens. Sometimes it's actually in just kind of watching all things in totality and seeing how things play out. And so that's why I try to refrain from thinking anything too much, because I want to see what it actually looks like in live action and live reps. And I just want to gauge it with my own eyes. The other thing I'm actually kind of interested to just see is I want to see how the freshmen look. And not just obviously I want to see them on the field. I have my eye on the receivers, Aaron Butler, Ryan Wingo. I'm very interested to see how they look. I'm also interested to see how the defensive guys look, the younger defensive guys look as well. Because I think sometimes when you go to these spring games or when you go to an NFL training camp, or when you go to different environments, you can kind of tell who's who just based on how they're built. You can kind of tell, usually the younger guys are a little bit slower. In training camp, you can usually tell who the rookies are, especially by how the coaches are acting and who they're yelling at and kind of what's happening. So this is not my first go around. I'm very interested to see what it actually looks like for the rookie or for the freshman. I want to see, I'm talking in my like NFL brain. I want to see what the freshmen look like. I want to see if they look behind, big, strong, fast. Like I just want to see how they're clicking, because I think there's a couple of freshmen this year that might be able to make an impact on this team. Their impact might not be huge. I'm not saying they're going to be like the reason we win a game or something like that, but I do think that there's a couple of rookies that can really have shining moments if they're doing what they're supposed to do. The other thing I'm very interested in as well is seeing some of the transfer portal players that we brought in. I think that some of these players that we brought in are actually going to make an impact. One of them that I'm thinking of is Trey Moore. I think he has the ability to really make a positive impact on this team, and I think it's the type of impact we're going to need. What I always say when I evaluate football teams, I always start with two things. You have to be able to first run the ball. I think Texas is going to be able to run the ball because they have great running backs coach, and a great offensive line. They've proved that they can do that, so that one I'm not worried about. The one thing I am worried about is stopping the run. And so I'm really concerned about how we're going to stop the run this year. Obviously, they could have pieces that I haven't thought of and I haven't seen. And so I'm very interested to see how we're going to stop the run this year. And some of the people that we picked up in the portal are there to help us stop the run and are there to fill some gaps. Now, I definitely know we still have Anthony Hill Jr. there, so I'm not concerned about like the linebacker play per se. I'm just concerned as a whole defense, how are we going to stop the run? Are we going to be able to stop the run? And these Texas running backs are really good. So I'm very curious to see how the Texas running backs compared to the Texas defense to see how they're going to stop the run. To like all the extraness, all the other things going on. So the weird things that a lot of people don't pay attention to. So body language, who's talking to what coach, which coach is hyping up another, certain guys, and just trying to figure out like who's getting the oohs and ahs from the crowd. Everything Arch Manning did last year, everybody acted like he hung the moon, and they almost like held their breath when he was out there and they allowed him to do what he needed to do. And then as soon as he did something, they were ready to erupt. So I'm just curious about like that energy and those things that you can't really see unless you're there or unless you live it. And so I'm just curious to see how this goes. And I'm just very fascinated with seeing what this Texas team is going to do. And I've said this many of times, and I'll continue to say this. Texas historically has been one of those programs that does really well, and then they do this weird thing, and then they come back up again. So we're right now in the upswing. We're in a new conference. We're doing all of these things. We look good. We feel good. The fan base is excited, but now it's time for them to show us who they are. And so as a fan, I'm very interested to see what they have to show us. I'm very interested to see what it's going to look like. And I'm very interested to see what people are going to be talking about after it all happens. So that's always key too, because I like to see what other people pick up on. The last thing I will say, I'm recording this video obviously a little bit before the spring game, so I will not have known what is happening in the transfer portal yet, because the transfer portal technically isn't open as the making of this video. So I'm not sure who all is going to enter the portal. I do know though, the last time I checked, I believe Texas is 3 or 4 scholarships over right now. And so if there are 3 or 4 scholarships over and we need some more defensive tackles, my expectations is that Texas will lose probably at least 7 to 8 people from this roster. So I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know what that's going to mean. I don't know what impact it's going to have, if any, but I just wanted to make a point and say that also, depending on what has happened before the spring game actually starts, I'm also curious to see who's going to be the guys that leave, who are going to be the guys that didn't make it or decide to leave or go somewhere else. And then obviously, where are they going to go and how is that going to be helpful? I will also say before I end this video, as a Colorado fan, whoever doesn't make it at Texas, especially if they play defense and especially linebacker or defensive line or defensive tackle or even offensive line, If you are looking for a place to go, and I don't know why you would see this video, I really hope that you go to Colorado because I selfishly want both of my teams to be amazing. I want both teams to have amazing talent, and I want to be able to talk trash all year. I want my Steelers to be good, I want the Longhorns to be good, and I want the Buffaloes to be good. And I will not back off of that, because if it happens, it will be one of my best falls ever with all of my teams doing amazing things. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing at the Texas spring game. And I hope everything works out. I hope everyone walks away from that healthy. And I hope the coaching staff is able to get a clear vision on what they're hoping for and what they expect to see over the next, or until fall starts. And I hope when it's time, Texas goes and gets what they need out of that transfer portal. But anyways, I will stop talking. As always, hook 'em. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know if you have any thoughts, if you're looking at it, if you're looking for anything, if you're a Texas fan, if you're not a Texas fan. I'm curious to know what your thoughts are in regards to the spring game, because it's here.